Good morning. It's so nice to be here with you today in Dallas. It was. I have an empathy for meeting planners. I do 100 of these a year. This is probably number 1,040 or something like that by now, and I know it's nerve-wracking, and I called to say, I'm sorry, but it's snowing. I'm not sure I'm going to make it here, and fortunately we did. So thanks for being here this morning, and could you raise your hand if you haven't ever heard me speak before, just so I can get an idea if I'm speaking? Yeah. Okay, plenty. Good deal. Well, let me tell you this. let me tell you this. I don't do Zig Ziglar power positive thinking, let's put some lipstick on a pig and sell something kind of speech. And I don't have any self-esteem, so frankly, I don't care if you have any either by the time we're done here, all right? It's not the point. I'm not at the Chamber of Commerce. I don't have anything to sell. My agenda here this morning is the same as it's been since I started this in 1997. That is to give my audience a toolbox full of information to help themselves, their families, and their clients make good business decisions. There's some good news out there, and there's some challenges left. And my philosophy is you can't make good decisions without having full information. And the other thing is you can make bad decisions just because you're tired of something. So I want to start off with that today by saying that I'll summarize my presentation right now by saying that we are turning the corner. If it wasn't for federal government distortions of the marketplace, by that I mean printing $1 trillion. By that I mean giving people a tax credit to buy a house, and then you goose the market for 3 months, and then it collapses after that, and the media says the housing market's collapsing. Well, it's not collapsing. It's just, do you have any memory at all? It's like we're comparing sales now with sales a year ago when there was a tax credit, those sorts of things. All of these government distortions are making it very hard in the economy. When I say government distortions, I know you might be thinking about something else. I'm just talking about economic mischief, not any other sort of mischief. It makes it hard for business people and analysts to know what to do, because it's hard to know what the trends are. And so I want to get started today by saying I'm optimistic. What happened to me in July of 2007, I was given a speech down in College Station the next day on a Friday, and Thursday night we're having dinner, and a couple of commercial real estate folks come up to me and go, we don't understand this. We're in the mortgage business, and we're on the phone 5 times a day getting quotes for loans, and we can't get anybody to answer our phone, call us back. Never seen this happen before. And the next day after the business meeting at 5 o'clock on Friday, they came up to me and said, still haven't been able to get anybody on the phone. We can't get a quote on a mortgage. And about 2 weeks later, Ben Bernanke comes out and tells the American public there's no contagion. This credit situation is all isolated. There's no contagion. It's all contained in the subprime market. And I was telling audiences that day and for the next year and a half afterwards, I'm not saying that the Federal Reserve would lie to the American people. I just prefer to say they're giving you head fakes. It's like, yeah, there's no contagion. Sure, it's all contained. And so ever since then, I've been scaring audiences all over the country. And they keep inviting me back. I don't understand it. But so from July of 2007 until about Labor Day last fall, I was way more pessimistic than my audiences. And somewhere, I don't remember where it was, but I was right in the middle of my speech, and I was just looking around the room like I am right now, and I said, you know what? I just stopped right in the middle of my speech, and I said, you know what? For the first time since July of 2007, I'm more optimistic than you are. And since then, I have been. And let me tell you, it's just as hard to talk about optimism to a skeptical audience as it is pessimism to a skeptical audience. I can't tell you how much pushback I'm getting around the country because I'm daring to say there's an optimistic outlook here for this country. It's amazing. If you had a lobbyist like the bankers had over in Fort Worth at their state convention, their national lobbyist from Washington got up right after I spoke, at their state convention, and he goes, you know what, that guy from A&M, he's half right. And as an economist, I'm thinking, man, that's quite a compliment, thanks. And he said, the only thing he's wrong on is his optimism, because his optimism is founded and based on the premise that Congress and the president will do something right to encourage businesses to hire people. And he said, that will not happen, period. And I know most of you in this room are skeptical too. Believe me, I do this 3 times a week, 100 times a year for 13 years. I live with businessmen and women, and I do this. I sit and listen to them. And I'm telling you, nobody believes your Congress and the president can do anything right. And there's reason for that. Because, you know, when people do things wrong for so many years, you go, well, why would it be any different? And then you go, well, I hear some words, but until I see some action, words are very cheap. And that's absolutely right. I'm kind of bullish right now because I am as skeptical of government as you can imagine. And if you've ever heard me talk, you know about that. I just have some confidence that when the going gets tough, the American public will step up and win. So we'll see. And so a lot of my optimism in my presentation here is tempered with realism. I'm not Pollyanna pie in the sky. We got a lot of work to do, and I'm going to show you what that work is because I want to help you decide which clients are going to hire and which ones aren't. And I want to help you try to understand why investors may want to buy a bunch of real estate or they may not. That's where I'm going to go with this today. But to me, the whole key, in case you're getting drowsy already and about to doze off, I'll give you a partial summary right now. Job growth is all that matters. GDP is irrelevant. No real estate buildings have ever been purchased or leased by GDP. It's all about job growth. And the deal for 2011 is very simple. There's going to be a positive push and a negative push. The negative push is going to come from states, cities, counties, and school districts that are going to have to right-size and live within their means. They're going to lay off people and fire people and freeze spending. That's going to be a downdraft in Dallas and in Austin and Atlanta and Boston and Nome, Alaska and Hawaii. Everywhere, that's going to be a downdraft. The offset to that will have to come from the private sector. Large businesses and small businesses want to start to hire again. I can show you surveys and other evidence that will make that. I hope, I don't care if I convince you of anything. I will just show you my point of view. My point of view is that the negative employment coming out of government will have to be offset by positive employment by businesses, large and small. So that's why I'm always around the room talking to people. Many of you are business owners, small businesses too. If I happen to be drinking coffee with you, I might say, are you going to hire anybody in the next 6 months? I do that everywhere I go, and I watch these surveys. Businessmen and women in this country are still afraid of their government. They've been afraid of their government, in my mind, since January of 2007. This is when my red flag started going up. I feel like a lifeguard, you know, at the surf. And so I've grown up in Kansas, so I don't know anything about the surf or lifeguarding. I'm thinking this is a bad metaphor. You don't know what you're talking about, but I'll try to go with it. I'm having a flashback to one episode of Baywatch I watched, but before my wife told me I couldn't watch it. I was throwing the flag up back then, and so I'm just waiting here. I think we're trying to get the all clear. Businesses got worried in January of 2007. I threw the flag up when I heard right before the Iowa caucus that they were going to raise the capital gains tax from 15 to 24%. Immediately, I went home. It was a football season. During an NFL game, I got my calculator out and did a little IRR. So what happens if you change the cap gain from 15 to 24%? I hate to admit it, and the dean of the business school isn't here, so I can admit it. It took me over an hour to do an IRR on a calculator. I haven't done that for so long. I haven't taught for 13 years. But when I got done, it was going to drop the value of commercial real estate by about 11%. Just that one thing. Just change that number, and it goes down 11%. And right there was when people started going, wow, should I buy real estate? I don't want to buy on the front end of that. I want to buy after that happens. And then that was just the tip of the iceberg. Capital gains, cap and trade, higher energy costs, uncertainty and about health care, and on and on and on. And ever since then, businessmen and women have gone into the bunker and hidden. And how you see that is in a reticence to hire people, even though profits are up dramatically. And how you see that is there's almost $2 trillion in cash on business balance sheets. Why do people have to? It's the highest as a percent of total assets. Cash on business balance sheets is the highest it's been since 1947. People are tired of hiding and tired of waiting. I think that might be a little bit of an advantage I have over these Nobel Prize-winning economists and lobbyists in Washington, D.C. Of course, we all know you don't need to do anything to win a Nobel Prize anymore, but I think that's where I got a tiny bit of a leg up, because I spend my whole life with people like you every day. I hear them saying, you know what? I'll tell you what the best investment is. In 2007, a guy came up to me and said, you missed the best investment of all. And I said, what's that? Muscle cars. I've been buying GTOs. I've been making all kinds of money, all right? 2006, that was about it. 2007. And then about a year and a half later, you missed it, dude. You missed what everybody's going into now. I said, what's that? Ammunition. I was at a meeting in Las Vegas about a year and a half ago, all Reg D stockbroker type folks that sell real estate securities all over the country. I said, I was just out in Brownwood, Texas the other day, and a guy told me he just bought 40,000 rounds of ammunition. How about y'all? Is there anybody in this Vegas audience from all over the country, anybody got more than 40,000 rounds of ammunition? And a guy about two-thirds of the way back raised his hand, and I said, okay, boss, what do you got? And he goes, 500,000 rounds. And I said, you are the emperor. You are the man. All right? Why do people buy ammunition? Why do people buy gold at $1,300 an ounce? Because they have no confidence in their Congress and the president to live within their means. The only reason you buy gold at $1,300 an ounce is that you think there's a possibility that Congress will print so much money that your savings will be worthless. That's exactly why you buy it. And so when gold goes up $25, that just means people are losing confidence in your government's willingness to live within their means. It's as simple as that. If you checked out of your economics class as a freshman, like most people did, and you missed out on this, the trick is when your government prints money at $1 trillion at a time, your little paltry savings of $1 million or $2 million can become worthless in a matter of 5 years. That's why people are buying gold. So we'll watch the signals.